Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is True Talk Tuesday with TruMotion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen. Let's get things kicked off. Now, first off, we've got another special guest here in the dojo. His name is Max Clifford from the Murray TruMotion. So, Max, thanks for joining us today, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Hey, so real quick, before we kind of get into our top five and our normal stuff that we like to do, we like to try to give everybody a little bit of a chance to let us know about yourself, like how you got into the art, like how long have you been teaching, stuff like that. So first question is, how old, because I know the answer, so I'm going to just ask it, but how old were you when you started training?
I was about 6 to 7 years old when I first started training.
Okay. What was it that, like, made you want to start training, I should say?
I got started training after watching shows like Walker, Texas Ranger and Avatar The Last Airbender. But to get started where I went, Master Martin had been a family friend of ours for 30 some odd years. He had gone to high school with one of my cousins.
Okay. So you knew Master Martin just through family.
Correct.
All right. So and you said 6 and 7, dude. What is a 6 and 7 year old watching Texas Ranger for? Like, are you like 80?
I'm an old soul.
Apparently. Like, I didn't even watch Walker, Texas Ranger. That was my dad's show.
I didn't know who Chuck Norris was until I was way older than 6 or 7. So.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, who's this weird bearded guy? Likes to kick people in the face. So Walker, Texas Ranger, really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Me and my dad would watch it all the time.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Hey, it's that father-son bonding thing. I dig it. I love it. So you got started when you were about 6 or 7, and then obviously you're still training.
Yes.
Because you're teaching now. But kind of like walk us through like those like junior high school years. Like, was it difficult to stay training or?
To be honest, not really. So I turned into a little bit of a monster. I would complain on like Disney vacations about missing class.
Ah, okay. So you're one of those kids like, I can't go anywhere because I got class. I can't miss class, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember watching you at tournaments when I was judging, and you'd always do that double nunchuck form, right?
No, I had never done double chuck.
You've never done the. Who was the kid that always did the double chucks?
That's KZ Murphy.
No, I'm talking like when you're like way younger.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm going to ask Master Mark, 'cause I swear to God, you were the kid that every tournament did like double nunchucks.
No, I did a lot of broadsword and bow staff.
Huh. God, who am I thinking of then? That's crazy because it looked exactly like you. Because it was when you went through that little, you got a little chubby and then all of a sudden you stretched out before you stretched out phase.
Yeah, okay.
It may have been when you were like 6 or 7. Maybe possibly 9 or 10. But right before you like started to like grow and everything got stretched effectively.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me, but
Really?
I don't know who it was.
You know, I'm gonna call Master Martin and be like, hey, who was the kid that always did the double chucks from Taylorsville tournament?
We've got a cliffhanger for next time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, cool. So you just powered through. There was no really like lull in your training, and all of a sudden you're just like graduating high school. And what kind of made you want to start getting into teaching?
I had gone to the orientation for Slick because I wanted to initially go to college to be an accountant, of all things, be
Really?
a bean counter.
Wow. Okay. Never would have thought that.
Yeah. And the orientation did not live up to my expectations. It was very much, we're going to treat you like you're still in high school. They legitimately asked me, what's my favorite color?
Okay. Well,
You missed class for that?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, what is your favorite color?
It's purple.
Oh, okay. Purple.
And so as soon as that had finished up, I had a little bit of a panic attack of, I don't know what I'm going to do now because I don't want to do this. This isn't going to be what I want. And it took my parents sitting me down going, hey, you've done martial arts for about 12 years now. Why don't we go and talk to Master Martin, get you an academy and see if this can be a career option? And I was like, okay, you know what, that works. Let's do that.
Nice. Okay. So you got into academy right after you graduated high school. How long were you teaching with Master Martin before we're like, okay, we need to, well, I know what the causes of getting put in the school were, but we won't go too deep into those. But like, how long were you teaching with him before you got put into your own position?
I got hired on as an assistant instructor in Taylorsville September 4th of 2018, and then I got moved into the Murray Dojo Halloween of that year.
Okay, so not very long, but not very long with Master Martin in Taylorsville then.
That's correct.
Okay, nice. So and you took over the Murray School that October.
Yes.
Okay, and you took over for an instructor that had kind of been established for a long time, and anytime you deal with like, I guess you could call it like a regime change in a studio, there's always some turmoil and difficulty. What was one of the toughest things that you kind of had to deal with when you had to take over for that old instructor?
The hardest part was the difference in teaching style.
Okay.
And kind of learning how to be my own instructor and teach my way.
Because everybody was expecting you to teach the way he taught.
Yeah.
Okay. How was his teaching style?
When it came,
or how did you interpret his as?
It was a little bit more laid back, and when I had first started, I was more of a rule with an iron fist type of instructor, and so that was a really big shift on the students pretty immediately without warning.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and those are those things that you gotta look out for. It's like, okay, he was a little bit more laid back. I'm a little bit more, like you said, rule with an iron fist. Until I can rule with an iron fist, it's like I got to kind of tone it down in terms of my expectations until everybody's used to me, and then start to raise the temperature a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why, with that whole rule with an iron fist, what is it that, like what, how did you get to that kind of teaching style? Is that like how you've always been, or is that how you like to train, or?
It was what I came up with when I was training.
Okay.
And so I didn't really know anything else, and I just took what I knew right then and there and implemented it the best that I knew how. Okay. And as some young kid looking at a group of adults, telling them to do push-ups because they didn't ki one time, that's a really big shift.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, and everybody's kind of got their own flair and their own way they like to do things, and the truth of the matter is you have to be true to yourself and like how you like to teach. And truthfully, some people aren't going to be down with it and some people are, and it's like you have to be okay with that. So, okay. What were some of the coolest things that you like realized right away about teaching?
One of the coolest ones was being able to take like the Tiny Tigers class, the 3 to 7 year olds, and see some of like the progress that they make when they start to figure things out or accomplish something that they didn't think that they could, and give them a better sense of like resilience and tenacity. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you see that accomplishment in people, it's definitely rewarding. That's for sure. You're like, oh my gosh, they get it finally. Oh my God. Hey, good job. And yeah, you have that sense of like, you guys did it together and you're excited. And yeah, it's definitely a feeling that you'd want to duplicate on a daily basis. For sure. But all right, well, what we're going to do, Max, is we're going to get right into the show. And like we've already kind of talked about the show, we've got it broken down into a couple of different sections. The first section is our top 5.
All right, folks, let me tell you, we got the top 5 best things right here. Believe me.
So this week's top 5 is top 5 creature features. So I'll go first. I thought it was a cool thing. At first, I was like, dude, I don't know 5 creature features. Are you kidding me? And there's a lot more than 5. So, in no particular order, I had Predator. I had Jaws. I had Jeepers Creepers, the creature from Jeepers Creepers.
Whoa.
Hellboy.
Oh, wow.
And King Kong. Okay.
There we go.
With an honorable mention for 2, Harry and the Hendersons. Remember Harry and the Hendersons, where Bigfoot gets like adopted by a family?
Not one bit.
Oh, great movie. You should look up Harry and the Hendersons. And the second one was told to me this morning was Pacific Rim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
like, totally forgot about that one.
Yep.
So those are my top 5: Predator, Jaws, Jeepers Creepers, Hellboy, and King Kong.
There we go.
Now, who you got, Steven?
All right. For my top 5, in no particular order, I'm going to go with Alien.
Okay.
The Alien
The
series.
Xenomorph.
The Xenomorphs are incredible.
Yeah.
Scary.
Stupid acid blood.
Yeah. For the next one, I'm going to go with Tremors.
Tremors.
Got those bugs and all those things.
Yeah. Good old Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I'm also going to put Jaws on that list. Jaws is incredible.
Jaws. Ugh.
I mean, I like the older ones because there was way more suspense. That's like in the first Tremors, they used a puppet. They didn't use CGI. In Jaws, they used a puppet. They didn't have CGI. And so because they didn't want to show their puppet on screen, there was a lot more scenes without the creature.
And that was scarier than
that in
with-
turns
yeah.
like, what's it going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
What's it gonna look like?
Jaws was a movie that terrified the hell out of me. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go into a swimming pool for a while. It was bad. And I always kept watching it. And you're like, what is wrong with you, idiot? So, yeah, Jaws. Jaws is a good one.
And next one's going to be Species, the Species series.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put King Kong on there as well.
King Kong. Gotta love the
With,
Kong.
With a question for the audience. Are zombie movies creature features?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
We'll see.
Because I would say,
I'd say no, probably.
I would probably say no.
They're their own thing.
Yeah, because they're humans.
Are they?
They're dead humans.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess we'll have to find out.
yeah, that is a good thing. Are zombie movies creature features? Are zombies
Because
creatures?
here's the thing. There's a whole bunch of different ways that movies have explored that people become zombies.
This is true.
So
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
without any further ado, go ahead.
Max, what's your top 5?
In no particular order, the Wendigo from the movie Antlers,
Okay.
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
I'd have to say the bugs from Starship Troopers.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
an old
Okay,
movie.
that's a good one.
I did have the Predator on my list.
Yep.
And I did have Jaws on my list because those are classics.
Yep.
Yeah.
With an honorable mention to the creature from the Black Lagoon. Way
Okay.
old classic.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'd even start talking about the old like classic monster movies. You know, Creature from the Blue Lagoon. That's a good one. Yeah. No, it's funny because a lot of times people like with the zombie thing is our zombie creature features, and because again, yeah, we
Is
always
Jurassic Park a creature feature?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is a total creature feature movie. Because I asked Shanna the same question, and she instantly went to like animals.
Oh.
Yeah, like Marley and Me, and Beethoven.
Okay.
Those kind of creatures.
Yeah, those
Okay.
kind of creatures, not like scary creatures. So it's funny where people's thought processes go when you ask them a question like that. So, but what is some of your top 5 creature features? Are they the ones that we have on our list, or are they stuff completely different that we'd even think about? So let us know what you guys think, and if you have any top 5s you would like us to talk about, feel free to leave a comment down below, and yeah, we'd love to hear what you guys have to think about those sort of things. So moving on is to our Ask a Sensei question.
Listen up. It's time to pump up your brain muscles with some wisdom from the sensei.
All right, this week's Ask a Sensei, we've got kind of a wide variety of questions for you today. We've got some are pretty like serious in depth, and then some are just kind of fun that people have asked us, and then some are kind of thought-provoking. So we'll kind of get right into it. The first question is there anything about teaching or running a studio that keeps you up at night or not, makes it so you just can't sleep? Okay. So have you guys ever experienced, or have you ever noticed anything in teaching or running a dojo where you're like, oh my God, I can't get to sleep because of XYZ?
There have been a couple of instances with some students where they would come to me with a problem just in their personal life, and that would keep me up at night every once in a while if
Really?
I felt like I didn't know how to solve it.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, it's definitely difficult for sure when you're like, man, people are asking me for advice and I don't know what to tell them. So, what about you, Stephen? Have you experienced anything like that?
I guess it's more for me, like I can teach a student something, but then it's like, well, what if they get into a situation where they have to use it, and maybe that wasn't enough?
Yeah.
That would scare me. That scares me. So
I absolutely. I think all of those are really valid points, for sure. Yeah, because you always have that fear in the back of your mind that it's like, okay, I'm teaching things that I know work because we've done them and they've been effective while we're doing them, but are the students going to actually be able to implement them when they actually have to? And that's a very scary thing to think about, because here's the honest truth, no matter how long people have trained or have trained, if they don't have that flight or fight mentality, it doesn't matter how much training they've had. Okay, if their first instinct is to that flight, they're gonna run, and that's there's nothing wrong with running. Okay, I've had a student where they've trained for going on 20 years now. They're a black belt, and they continue to train, but they had an incident where they were approached by somebody and they froze and they didn't know what to do. And that scared them, and it scared me because this person's special needs as well. And the fact that somebody would try to take advantage of somebody in that situation just infuriates me, and makes you want to go out on a hunt and find them and make sure nobody else finds them. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they froze, it made me sad, because it's like, God, I failed them in some way, even though you weren't in that situation. You couldn't tell them what to do, and their natural reaction was to just do nothing. And they've since recognized that, and now they've trained harder and feel like, okay, hopefully if that ever happens again, I'll be able to do something. And then you have some people that have been training for like a week, and they get into an altercation and they beat the living crap out of the person. And you're like, holy crap, wow, good for you, dude. Like, wow, okay, let's tone it down now. We're in class, we're not fighting. So there's such a wide variety of things that could happen with stuff like that. So I agree, it's crazy. And yeah, the things that if people ask you questions and you're like thinking about it all night to try to figure out the right answer, sometimes the right answer is no answer. Mm-hmm. Because the last thing you want to do is try to give somebody advice, and all of a sudden the advice you give them doesn't turn out to be the right advice.
Well, it's specifically hard in that instance because you're basically their mentor.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They see you as all-knowing and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, and I feel there was an incident about a year ago, and I was talking with a student, and we were talking about a sibling of theirs. And we had both been like, okay, because the sibling had been depressed and was like talking about suicide and this and that. And both her and I looked at each other and was just like, dude, he's full of it. It's not going to happen and this and that. And I'm just like, the people that talk about it don't do it. Well, about 2 months later, it actually happened. And like that chewed at me forever, knowing that we talked about that it's not going to happen because he keeps talking about it. Then the next thing you know, that person's gone. And you're like, holy hell, like I just said that wouldn't happen. Like that was that I didn't think that was going to happen. And, you know, you start questioning everything, and you're just like, no, you can't do that because you thought something wasn't going to happen, and it didn't turn out that way. And that's the thing with like giving advice. It's like sometimes you can give the right advice to the right person and everything's golden and great and grand, and then you could give the right advice at the wrong time and it doesn't work. Or you could give the wrong advice at the right time and it did work. You know, and all sorts of the ones in between. So, yeah, advice. Yeah, and it's like you said, like everybody looks up to the instructor is like, you know, it's God and Sensei, and you're like, you're all knowing and you should know everything. And it's like, dude, you're still, especially like you, Max, like you're still a young guy, you're still living life. And it's like, you have these people expecting you to know all these answers. And you're like, I've never heard of that. Like, how am I supposed to tell you this stuff? Yeah, you know? So it's one of those things to where it's like, sometimes the best advice is no advice, or you ask them questions, and yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, stuff that keeps me up at night. It's interesting because I look on it both on like a business level and a teaching level as well. Teaching wise, obviously, if I ruin someone's experience, like that keeps me up at night constantly. Like, I hope I didn't just ruin this person's experience with training. Like, I hope I didn't do something or say something that caused this person to stop. You know, that sort of stuff just eats away at me, because it's like, you do your best to, you know, give people the best training that you can. You like to have fun with them. You like to joke. Then all of a sudden, you know, somebody quits and they're like, well, what did I do? Like, did I do something to ruin this person's experience? Or if you're at a tournament, like with tournament coming up, like tournaments keep me up constantly, because I'm so concerned about getting the scores right, or making sure that the scoring's correct, or God, I hope I don't miss a point. And like, I don't want to ruin somebody's tournament experience that'll trickle into something else. Like, tournaments keep me up for sure, like constantly. That's one of the biggest ones for me. That, and then like on the business end, just like making sure the studio runs, you know, making sure we're bringing in people, making sure the dojo has enough money to keep the lights open, making sure everybody gets what they need to. So yeah, there's a lot of things for me personally that kind of keep me up at night and cause some sleepless nights, but truthfully, it's all worth it when you look at, like you were talking about earlier, seeing those kids, like the light bulb going off, and you're like, oh my gosh, it makes sense now. And like you helping people to find answers in themselves that they never knew that they had, and yeah, all that stuff. So it's kind of crazy. Anything else you guys would like to add to that? No,
I think we got it covered.
All right, moving on. Next question, not quite as deep and as thought-provoking as the other one. It's, are you a dog or a cat person?
I am an animal person.
Okay.
Dogs, cats, horses, lizards, spiders. I will do all of it.
Okay, so that being said, what kind of animals are you currently in your environment at home now?
I have a dog and a cat.
Dog and a cat.
House divided.
There you go. That's like Utah and BYU fans. Okay, so what kind of dog do you got?
He is a lab and hound mix. He's a little over a year old.
Wow.
He's the biggest attention hog that I've ever had. More
Really?
so than some of my ex-girlfriends. It's great.
He's just all over you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With the hound, does he howl a lot, or?
No, he still barks. The lab took over on that part.
Okay. Yeah, those hound barks are something else, for sure. And you got a cat. What kind of cat is it?
She is a Siamese, and then something else that when we picked her up from the Humane Society, they don't know.
Okay.
Because she wasn't like a bred in captivity cat.
Gotcha.
So
what are their names? What's the cat's name?
The cat's name is Gucci.
Gucci. Okay. Kind of fits, I guess, with the Siamese cat.
I got some Gucci for $25.
There you
It
go.
was great.
That's awesome. What's the dog's name?
His name is Captain.
Captain.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Captain and Gucci.
Yes.
Gucci Captain. There you go. Nice. All right. Have you owned any kind of like exotic type animals, like reptiles or?
I have. So I've had lizards, hermit crabs, and for the longest time, I had a 210-gallon aquarium full of corals and saltwater fish.
Oh wow! Okay,
Nice.
that's awesome. All right, Stephen, what about you?
My house is not divided. I have dogs, and
Yeah.
they chase away all the cats that try to come.
Yeah. So dog family.
Dog family, yes.
What is it about dogs that's just like I'm dog person?
I'm less allergic to dogs than I am to cats.
Oh, fair
so
enough.
That helps. I like to breathe a little bit more.
Yeah, breathing is. I've heard that's good.
So yeah, I've had some experiences with as a younger child. My allergies have gotten a lot better, but as a younger child, cats literally took my breath away.
I bet they did. Not in a good way too.
Yeah, I found one cat that was allegedly hypoallergenic. That
Really?
I had I was very fond of, but it was a kitten.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't mine. So I couldn't
Okay.
obviously take it, so
Yeah.
it's not mine.
What kind
but
of dogs do you have?
I have border collies.
Border
I have
collies.
2 border collies. One is a border collie lab mix, and the other is a purebred border collie.
Lab mix, huh? That's got to be interesting.
Very slight. It's border collie genes are dominant. They just took everything over, but he's got a little bit of lab in him.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
those border collies, they love to run and herd, and
Yeah.
they don't like to stay still.
They do not like to stop moving.
Yeah, for sure.
They're like the sharks of the land. They stop moving, they literally will die.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
makes sense. Or they just gain lots of weight.
Yeah.
So, cool, dog person. All right. Well, I am a dog person for sure. I did have a few cats growing up as a kid, but cats are just kind of jerks, man. Like, I don't get it. I'm not saying cats are like bad. I just don't think cats are very nice.
Not nice
So-
to you.
No, or they're just, man, if you come home from a long day and you get there and all of a sudden you have a dog and it's like so stinking excited to see you. You're like, oh my God, it's my person. Thank you for coming home. And there's like the happiest thing in the face of the planet. And you're like the best thing in the world. Man, I don't know how you can't feel good when you come home and you have a dog. Then you have a cat and you come home and you get in the walk in the front door and their cat sees you and it stares at you and is like, what the hell are you doing here? And then it walks off. And it's like, okay, jerk. I just feed you. That's all right. Give you life. You knock my stuff over and look at me like I'm less of a human. So, but whatever. I mean, people can like that sort of stuff. Now, if you're saying like big cats are rad, like tigers and, leopards. Those things are cool. If I could have that as a pet, you best believe I'd be buying a tiger. That's all I would need for security
Be
too.
the Tiger King of Salt Lake.
Yeah, but they tend to like bite people.
Oh,
and
really?
So
New dojo mascot.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Phew. Could you imagine that, a tiger in the dojo? Just like free roaming.
Not free roaming, but able to like have its space to move and be like in a corner somewhere. Yeah, sure, I can imagine that. But free roaming, no.
My goodness, tigers are. I've heard you can like semi-domesticate them, but they will always have that like wild instinct niche in them that you're just like, if I turn my back to this thing, is it gonna like maul me or what? It's like, have you guys seen those videos online where it's like the kids standing in front of the glass of a tiger enclosure
Yes.
and they like are stalking these children?
Yep.
And it's like the kids will turn around and the tiger will stop. Boom, dead. Then it turns back around and it moves towards them again. And then when it gets within like pouncing level, it like jumps at the glass and it's like, yeah, no, I'm good. So
Hey, it would keep the kids in line.
yeah,
if you had a
probably
tiger
be
in
like,
the
hey,
corner.
if you get out of line, you're in tiger zone.
You have to go do your form over there.
Don't get in the tiger's area. So I'm definitely a dog person through and through. And more specifically, I'm a big dog person. Okay, because like the great Juan Swanson, any dog under 50 pounds is basically a cat.
Oh,
So, yeah,
interesting.
yeah, I like bigger dogs. Again, they're just the happiest things on the face of the planet. They love you unconditionally. It doesn't matter how bad your day was. You come home, it doesn't matter. You got these 2 dogs, or I have 2 dogs. I've got a soft Wheaton Coat Terrier Lab mix. Something. It's got like 8 other things with it too. He's a mutt. His name's Loki. And then we have we're going to find out. I think they lied to us. They told us he was an Aussie Doodle, but we're more than positive he's an Airedale Terrier Doodle. And his name is Thor. So, yeah, so we have a Loki and a Thor at our house. They're both wonderful dogs. We did have a yellow lab named Ginger, who I had for, like 13 plus years. She was a wonderful dog, just the best person or best dog you could have with you. But unfortunately, she passed away about a year ago. So, but I'm totally a dog person through and through. So, in fact, we've all heard of the comedian Shane Gillis, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, he has probably the best description, and this isn't meant to be offensive, so it's not offensive. But he considers cats are like people with like autism or people on the spectrum. Okay, it's like they're there and they like recognize you, but they'd rather just be by themselves. Okay, which makes sense because like my son's on the spectrum and he very much has like cat-like tendencies. He's like, I'd rather just be in my room and like maybe I'll say hi as I'm passing by, stuff like that. So and I was like, God, that makes a lot of sense. And he goes, dog people are people with like Down syndrome. They're just the happiest go lucky people on the face of the planet, and they will do anything and everything with you, just like dogs will. And I was like, I know he was trying to be offensive, but that wasn't very offensive. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And these people are like, that's awesome. Like people would because people with Down syndrome are actually like that. They're the most friendly, happy, like they want to be around people. They want to talk about cool things. And that's just how they are. It's like, man, everybody needs to be more like that, to be quite honest with you. And then people that are on the spectrum, some of them are very to themselves and like, you know what, I'd rather just be by myself, and that's totally cool. But hey, every now and then I'm going to come out and hang out with you and we're going to be best pals. Same sort of thing. I'm like, dang, that was, you know what? You're right. That is right. Okay. So don't be offended by that. It's not trying to make fun of anybody, but that was a great example. Okay. You could like the example. You cannot like the example. If you don't like it, it's too bad. If you do like it, have a good laugh, whatever. Okay. Next one, last question for the day is, what would your dream studio look like? This was asked to us by Liam. So, Stephen, what would your dream studio look like?
Oh, let's see. Well, I think my dream studio has to have a tiger in it now.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was thinking about it. Like, damn, I need a tiger
great idea.
now. Shoot.
Money, no option. Laws, no option. My dream studio is going to be an indoor-outdoor feature, so I can train and hold classes outside in sort of like a very zen garden.
Yeah.
With a whole bunch of different implements that you might see, like a balancing rock or something, and literally like a playground for martial artists. And then the indoor feature is going to be more modern, more exposed roof, and so you can like have tracks up on the ceiling that you can bring things down, and you can run almost like American Ninja Warrior courses inside.
There you go.
A whole bunch of pads and stuff. And that would be my ideal dojo. I'd also have like a designated place to run laps.
Okay, so like a track.
A track around the whole thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, Max. What about you?
Money's no object. Why stop at one tiger when you can have two?
Hey.
Yeah.
There you go.
I would like to have more of a almost warehouse style kind of a gym.
Okay.
Inside's padded and matted, so that way it's easy to land on. From interior to exterior, like the lifting garage doors that you'll see at like a mechanic shop.
Yeah.
So that way when it's summer and it's nice and warm, those can open up. Everybody can get a good sweat, and it's a good day. Your 6 foot tall hanging bags that you have in here, I'd probably have about 5 or 6 of those.
Yeah. Definitely want those.
A small dedicated weightlifting area for sure. I would like to have a track, and I'm deciding if I want that to be indoor or outdoor. Probably outdoor. Mm-hmm. Outdoor track seems a lot more fun, especially to make adults run in the snow. I think that's a great time. I don't know. There's something about that.
Adults running in the snow. Interesting.
Nice. That's
Very
awesome.
cool. Well, truthfully, I wouldn't change much more than we've got now here at South Jordan. I'd love to have a little bit more space for possibly a ring. So I think that would be cool to have a ring in there, because the old San Clemente school in California had a boxing ring in the corner of their dojo, and I was like, dang, that was so cool. That was so badass. Every time we went in there, I was like, I want to get in the ring. But so I think maybe a little bit more square footage for a ring. The only thing I would change with this dojo is I'd take out we have this wall kind of dividing the back area from the front area, and it doesn't make any sense. So if I could get rid of that wall, man, I think we'd have enough space for the ring for sure. And yeah, it's funny because I think you actually said it about a month ago or something. The dojo looks like one of the pictures on my vision board, and it's really true. So if you guys have never heard what's called a vision board is basically where you take actual visual aids of things you either want to do, accomplish, or see, or have. So if you're like, man, I really want to get a specific type of car, well, you would find the picture of the car that you want to get, print it out, and put it in an area where you would see it or run by it on a daily or constant basis. And those are called vision aids or vision boards. And you basically put whatever it is that you want on it, and there is no limitation. The only limitation is you. So if you're limited by something, well, it'll show, because your vision board's going to look kind of crappy, or it's going to look kind of unimaginative, I should say. I shouldn't say crappy. It's going to look unimaginative. Okay? It's going to look like, really? And some people just don't want a whole lot of quote-unquote materialistic things. Okay? And that's totally fine. Okay? Some people like just like a family, so you put a picture of your family up there. Or some people would be like, I just want a one-room cabin in the mountains. Great, put a one-room cabin in the mountains up there. But whatever it is that you want to try to accomplish or achieve, you want to try to find a visual aid for it. And then print it out and put it in places that you will see it all the time. And I remember doing that when I first opened up South Jordan, and, creating a vision board and this and that, and putting it in the back room. And you just kind of, you look at it all the time without really looking at it all the time. Then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I have that. I can take that off the vision board. And all of a sudden you look at it again, you're like, I have that. Whoa, I guess I can take that off the vision board. And it's a really powerful tool without really a whole lot of effort. So, and that was one of those things. It's like one of my pictures looks like the dojo we have now. And it's like, yeah, that's right. So it's like one of those things to where you just kind of manifest it into existence by, hard work and dedication and, never giving up. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't really change too much to what we have now, because we have a lot of space, but there's also a lot of wasted space because of that wall. So if we could have gotten rid of that wall and maybe one of the bathrooms, man, we could have just like a killer setup, which I think we have a good setup anyways. But you can never go wrong with like a size-wise studio that we have in headquarters. I mean, that's ginormous. So if you're looking for pure size, I mean, it's its own building. Okay, very rarely do you see dojos with its own building, which is super impressive. So,
would you have your own building given the chance?
Absolutely, I would. That's the next phase or stage for South Jordan, is to get out of I don't want to say the retail space, but if we do move again, it's going to be to a building that we're going to own. Like, I'm tired of paying rent, so we're going to move into a space that we own, and it's going to be. I'm not going to have to check in and get certain approval from stuff we want to design or do. And we won't have any stupid neighbors telling us that we're too loud from hitting heavy bags and stuff like that. So, yeah, absolutely. The next stage for South Jordan is to have its own building and move into its own compound, so to speak. So let's make sure that we work hard to will that into existence and manifest that into existence. So moving on to the last section of the show, it's our shout-outs.
Right, yo, time to get props to those who keep it real. Let's shout out to the realest in the game.
So moving into season 3, this is the first episode of the 3rd season. We didn't really kind of talk about that at the beginning.
It'll be in the
it'll be in the descriptions. We're trying to add some new things to keep the show exciting and new and moving forward. So how we like to finish out the show is with a shout out. So if we like to turn it over to everybody, and if there's somebody you would like to give a shout out to, now's the time to do it. So Stephen, you got anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, for the first season or first episode of season 3, I'm just going to shout out everyone who showed up over spring break.
Yeah.
We had really small classes this week, but we still had people show up.
Yep, absolutely.
And so I was very impressed that they took, they were like Sensei Max here and be like, I'm not going to miss a lesson, and showed up.
You want to go? You mean go to Disneyland or go to karate class?
Karate class?
Time to go to karate class. Duh. What about you, Max? Who you got a shout out for?
I want to shout out all the parents from the Murray Dojo that when we play dodgeball, throw the dodgeball at their own child's face.
Okay. So you got parents that are like, I must destroy this child of mine.
That's
or
correct.
You gonna learn today.
You're like, okay, we need to remind these kids what the pecking order is.
Yep.
Like, Dad still got it, buddy. That's right. Okay. Nice. Shout out to all the Murray parents that try to obliterate their children in ninja dodgeball. I got it.
Sweet.
I like it. Well, my first shout out is actually going to be the Brown family. I know the Brown family will probably listen to this eventually, but the Browns are Kate and Randy and Elsie and Georgie. They're just a wonderful family to have here at the dojo. We always like to bounce off the top 5s with them, and I can always get a movie quote and a line from anything and everything during their lesson, and they're just a joy to teach, and all of them have gotten signed up for the tournament. They're big supporters of the dojo. So a big shout out to the Brown family. Brown family, we love you over here. So, yeah, so that being said, if you haven't liked the show yet, please go on and like the show, subscribe to the show on all social media platforms. We got finally Apple Podcast. Again, shout out to Shanna from last week for setting that up. Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. So yeah, not only like this show, but subscribe, leave comments, share the show. We're trying to find out maybe I'll put it out there, and you guys tell me if you like it or not in the comments. There's another show that we like where they have a little saying about sharing the show and don't being a hoe. But we can't say that because that's not our show, and I don't really want to call people hoes. So I came up with don't be a Karen, get to sharing. Oh. So let us know if you like that, if that's a good one or if that's appropriate. If it is, that's what we're going to start saying at the end of the show. If not, we'll figure something else out. So that's really about it for today. Max, did you want to leave us with anything before we get going?
Just thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast. I'm honored to be episode 1, season 3.
Yep, episode 1, season
awesome
3.
To have you.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come out here and rap with us and chat with us for a little bit. It's always a pleasure to have people on and talking to them about their experience, and yeah, just kind of seeing where everything goes from there. So, but we appreciate you taking the time out and spending some time with us. And next thing we got is tournaments. So we got tournament coming up. So if you haven't signed up for tournament, or if you're looking to spend a Saturday doing something, tournament's Saturday, April 27th at the Taylorsville High School, starting at 10 a.m., not 10 p.m. We're not raving it. But, yeah, come on out and have a good time with us. And we will have a couple of actually special guests coming on the next couple of episodes as well, not only for the tournament, but people coming out for the tournament and just some old friends of ours. So Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, everybody, or listen to us chat, and we will see you next week. So kick it with us next week, everybody.
Kick it with us next week. Bye.